Halloween Horror Nights season is upon us, and I've wanted to tell you some of those top secrets and rumors that you've probably never heard about. So, you know how I like to do it. Let's just jump right in. Mardi Gras turned into horror. Yes, you did hear me. The first year of Halloween Horror Nights had a party atmosphere, a party vibe. And little did the creators know that this spine-tingling affair would turn into a global phenomenon for over a quarter of a century. Originally, Halloween Horror Nights, aka Fright Nights, was targeted to teenagers and adults as this party atmosphere to come hang out during Halloween season. So this first season of Fright Nights, aka Halloween Horror Nights, kicked off as a Mardi Gras-esque vibe party that you can enjoy at Halloween Horror Nights. And that's how it all started. Then we come into the Rat Lady, who is born during the same year of Fright Nights in 1991. The Rat Lady was created in the Dungeon of Terror maze and had guests walking on a plexiglass just to see this lady covered all in rats. The crypt would then light up underneath your feet to show this poor young lady stuck with rats climbing all over her as she tries to claw her way out. Yes. That's how Halloween Horror Nights kicked off the first year. Another secret about Halloween Horror Nights is that there were no icons in the first years. Instead, Halloween Horror Nights focused on classic monsters such as the Wolfman, the Bride of Frankenstein, Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, the creature from the Black Lagoon, and the Mummy. Now there is debate online on who could be classified as the first true icon. So today I'm going to make my official stance and say that the Crypt Keeper in 1995's Halloween Horror Nights was the kind of official icon, as he was the one who was headlining a lot of the media campaign at that time as the main figure for this event. You Beetlejuice fans, don't come for me. And after all of the tales of the Fright Nights and the Mardi Gras and the partying and the Universal Monsters, we then see a change in the name from Fright Nights to Halloween Horror Nights in 1992. It has been speculated that this name change was due to legal trademark rights over the name Fright Nights. So Universal had to come up with a name that embodied the ghoulish event, and that's how the name became Halloween Horror Nights.
Party with your favorite monsters during Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios, Florida.
Now let's go over and talk about the birth of the scare zones. Yes, those scare zones that we just expect every year. They did not come to the event until 1994, and our very first scare zone was called Horrorwood. Let me stop being silly. You know what I mean. It's Horrorwood, and in Horrorwood you got to experience the Chainsaw Drill Team and so many other spooky, crazy characters in this debut of Horrorwood. This new concept was safer, and it was Universal's way of making it more organized and safer for the crowds that had begun to descend upon Halloween Horror Nights. Now we get into the birth of the scare actor, which also came in 1994. Since HHN was becoming one of the most popular Halloween events in the country, Universal wanted to have a school to organize and teach the scare actors of the event. So Ghoul School was created. Here scare actors would learn many things, such as applying their own makeup. Yes, they had to apply their own makeup. And learning the art of the scare so that when you came there, they would terrify the crap out of you. Good job, Universal. Good job, scare actors. Let's now talk about some of the partnerships that Universal has had in the past. With one that stands out to me the most is the partnership that they had with R.L. Stine, Scholastics, and Goosebumps. Yes, did you know that? Awesome. In 1996, Universal partnered up with Goosebumps and other major brands to run a competition for an all-expense-paid trip to Halloween Horror Nights. This was such a cool concept at the time as it drew more attention into the event. I think this was a great marketing ploy for Universal, as my first trip out to Universal back at HHN Shatine was because I won a competition. Well, mine was a little bit easier. It was just waiting by the phone for a Fox program to display a scary image, and then you call this toll-free number and hope that you are the ninth caller. That's how I went to Universal for my first time. I won it through a competition. And I think the whole partnership that they had with Goosebumps was so cool because in 96, I was a total Goosebumps head. And I liked Halloween Horror Nights, but I was not that kid. I was not that kid that was going to Halloween Horror Nights. Nope, not even with a group of people. Now let's talk about a unique house that came to Universal. And this was a Titanic-inspired haunted house. In 1998, the SS Fright was a life-size ship built by Universal inside the whole queue of Earthquake. This house would give guests two different experiences called the Carnage Crew and Fear and First Class. So if you think the Blumhouse two-house approach is new, no, they've been doing this. And if you remember anything about the late 90s, then you know that Titanic was a mega hit and was a big pop culture phenomenon that happened during that time. So it's only right that Universal would just take it on a spookier level. Let's talk about the birthplace of that crazy clown, Jack. It all started in Soundstage 22, and this is where our most famous clown makes his debut, Jack Schmidt. So who is Jack Schmidt exactly? Jack Schmidt, aka Jack the Clown, was a demented, insane circus performer under the Dr. Oddfellow circus. He was later axed, if you know what I mean, by Dr. Oddfellow, as he discovered Jack had been doing some quite terrifying things to the little ones. This is one of the most disturbing secrets about Halloween Horror Nights that I wish I didn't uncover. As the event went on, Jack the Clown would become known as one of the most iconic HHN icons and one of the fan favorites of the whole entire history of this Halloween Horror Nights event. Now as we transition into Terror Finding a New Home, we head over to Islands of Adventure, where in 2002, Islands of Fear made its debut at Universal's Halloween Horror Nights. This was the first year that the event was moved from Universal Studios, Florida, to Islands of Adventure. It's here that we be introduced to characters such as the Caretaker and the Terror Quintus. We'd also meet that famous director, Paulo Ravinsky, one of the most iconic HHN icons out there, who was a snuff filmmaker and had a very colorful imagination, if you like to say that. Then we head to 2004, where Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios would both experience Halloween Horror Nights. And it was during this time where you have to go through one of the largest scare zones that Halloween Horror Nights has ever seen, which is called the Field of Screams. You can only imagine cornfield scarecrows, terrifying. But this was the scare zone that would lead you between Universal Studios Florida and Islands of Adventure to experience Halloween Horror Nights. Then horror returns home in 2006 with the Sweet 16, my favorite year ever at the Halloween Horror Nights event. It was in 2006 where the most famous icons got together to terrorize all of the fans of this Horror Nights event, all to celebrate 16 years of terror, thrills, and all the stuff we have come to love at Halloween Horror Nights. Then in 2010, something quite unique happens at Universal's Halloween Horror Nights, and a couple gets married. Yeah, someone got married at Halloween Horror Nights. In 2010, Universal marketed the event as the perfect place to get hitched. This was offered through a competition where food, beverages, entertainment, and a cake would be taken care of for the winners. The haunted wedding would also come complete with scare actors to terrify wedding guests as the celebration went on. A couple from Vermont won this competition and were married inside Soundstage 22 on October 15th, 2010. This is one of my favorite Halloween Horror Nights secrets. And hey, if Universal ever brings it back, you and your partner can have the ultimate terrifying wedding destination for you and your guest. I just love that. Video games comes to Halloween Horror Nights. Did you know that in 2012, it was the first year that a video game franchise made its debut at Halloween Horror Nights? I know we have The Last of Us coming this year, but Silent Hill was the first video game to make its debut at Halloween Horror Nights. And when the Silent Hill franchise was chosen for HHN 22, it would feature the famous tall pyramid head character on stilts. I personally remember this house, and I remember the Pyramid Head guy. It was cool. I didn't play the game, so I didn't really know what was going on, but I do remember it being one of my top houses for HHN 22. Now we're to the year where everything changes for the whole history of Halloween Horror Nights, as the event was canceled in 2020. Well, kind of. 2020 brought about so many changes to the theme park world due to the global pandemic. And on Friday, July 24, 2020, Universal announced that Halloween Horror Nights would be canceled to focus on operating the parks during the day in the safest manner possible. It was heartbreaking, and it was just another setback to let us know that this pandemic was really changing our lives, and it was going to be hard to get back to normal. The news, although it was already speculated throughout the year, it was still surprising to hear, as the year was to bring about the big 30th anniversary spectacular. Universal went on to say that, "We know this decision will disappoint our fans and guests. We are disappointed too, but we look forward to creating an amazing event in 2021." And although the 2020 Halloween Horror Nights event was canceled, Universal did bless us. Oh, it was so great. And they gave us a preview of the houses during the day. And those preview houses for the 2020 HHN Light year were Universal Monsters, The Bride of Frankenstein Lives, Revenge of the Tooth Fairy, and Beetlejuice. I thought this was great for Universal to do. It was fun because although we couldn't get our full event, it was just nice to be able to go through the houses just to have something to make us feel normal in the pandemic. And as I mentioned, HHN Light, if you caught that, this has become dubbed as Halloween Horror Nights Light or HHN Light by the fans of the community, because although it wasn't a full year, we were thankful to have those few houses offered in the daytime at the park. Well, I hope you have a good trip out there this year, and until next time, happy park hopping hipsters.